Hawks say 10 people were killed and 101 were missing from 3 construction sites there. Another rough day on Wall Street as the Dow plunged 715 points, the Nasdaq dropped 41. More at townhall.com.
Face it, the world is uncertain these days, but there's something reassuring about holding on to what lasts. The 2025 1-ounce Gold Eagle from the U.S. Mint, a symbol of American strength and an asset that stands the test of time. You can trust gold and you can trust Global Coin. Call 833-SPOT-GOLD to secure this magnificent coin graded in pristine MS-70 condition for the dealer cost of $30.99. Free shipping, no sales tax. This is your chance to own a piece of history while building a foundation of enduring value. It gets even better. Global Coin is giving the first 100 callers a free MS-70 2025 Silver Eagle to complement your 1-ounce Gold Eagle. 2 iconic coins, a symbol of prosperity and a testament to the enduring value of gold and silver. Global Coin backs every purchase with a 30-day return policy, ensuring your peace of mind. Visit globalcoindeal.com or call 833-SPOT-GOLD. No gimmicks, incredible coins at incredible prices. Again, that's 833-SPOT-GOLD.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Another wipeout slammed Wall Street as worries built about a potentially toxic mix of worsening inflation and a U.S. economy slowing because of households afraid to spend due to the global trade war. The S&P 500 dropped 2% as 4 out of every 5 stocks within the index fell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 1.7% and the Nasdaq Composite tumbled 2.7%. Lululemon Athletica led the market lower after warning that its revenue growth may slow in part because shoppers are spending less due to concerns about inflation. The Dow was down 715 points to finish at 41,583. The Nasdaq lost 481 to 17,322. The S&P 500 dropped 112 points to 5580. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy tonight. We'll have a low temperature dipping to 58. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day. We should stay dry, though, a high reaching 81. On Sunday, we do get a 50% chance of some thunderstorms. It'll be mild, 78 is our high. While on Monday, a storm day, we expect rain at 70% to start the work week. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And a pleasant good Friday evening to you, and welcome into what is going to be a fantastic Friday here on Sports Talk. Chris Bergen over here in the PD, Josh Cohen back home in our Columbia studios. We've got Matt Smith over at the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. We'll catch up with him in just a little while, but we want to get things rolling right off the bat here this evening with NCAA tournament action as the South Carolina women taking on Maryland down in Birmingham, the Birmingham 2 Regional. The winner will face Duke on Sunday in the Elite 8, and Phil Kornblut is on site down in Birmingham, and the Gamecocks in a little bit of trouble here early third, Phil.
They certainly are, as they are trailing 43-37. I've come inside the press room from being out on the court, and 43-37 right now, early third quarter, Maryland leading the Gamecocks, and Maryland's come out of the locker room, and they've made 4 of their 5 shots in the second half. The Gamecocks are 2 for 4, and this has just been a case, Bergie, where, this South Carolina team usually delivers a knockout blow in the second quarter to teams. You'll notice that maybe a team will play with them for a quarter, then in that second quarter, they get blown out by the Gamecocks and they go on to a win. Not in this case tonight. Maryland hung in there. They had to come from behind. South Carolina had a little something going early with Chloe Kitt scoring 10 points really quick right off the bat. But Maryland hung in there and hung in there. They're a physical team. They can match up with South Carolina from a physical standpoint. And they made some inside shots. They finally knocked down a three or so. And they withstood what is typically the second quarter knockout punch by South Carolina. Took a little lead into the locker room at halftime, and now they've come out and they've opened it up 43-37. It's still anybody's ball game, of course, but South Carolina has their problems tonight. Number one, the foul situation has not gone in their favor. They've been whistled 12 times, 5 times. Maryland's been called for a foul, thus Maryland is 13 of 18 from the line. The Gamecocks only 5 of 6. Turnovers are pretty even, 11-8. South Carolina is winning on the boards, 27-22. Kitts had the early 10 points to lead the Gamecocks. Then Full Wiley had 7 points off the bench. Since then, nobody else has really stepped up big, and Kitts has not scored again since she scored those points all in the first quarter. She hadn't scored since then, so they've kind of nullified her to some degree. Neither team is shooting it all that well. Maryland has warmed up to 41%. The Gamecocks are at 35%, so it's going to have to be a come-from-behind kind of deal for South Carolina, but they got plenty of time and plenty of talent and plenty of confidence to realize that they can still pull this thing out and advance to take on Duke in the Elite Eight on Sunday. But right now they got some work to do, trailing 43-39, and we're at the media timeout third quarter with 4:43 to go.
One thing I thought was interesting, Phil, you referenced some of the stats. The biggest stat line to me is the turnovers. You said they were fairly even, and they are. 12, Carolina just turned it over again right before the media timeout, but the points off of turnovers. Maryland's outscored South Carolina 11-2. They certainly have taken advantage of the 12 miscues that South Carolina has had, and they'll have another opportunity coming out of the timeout. When you lead a game by 4 and you've outscored your opponent by 9 with the turnover points, you're getting a lot of opportunities and a lot of gifts from the other team, and probably from Maryland's perspective, that's what they needed. They needed South Carolina to be a little sloppy today. Game certainly, pace-wise, I think is probably still in Carolina's favor because Maryland wants to push this thing up around 80 points. But the turnover is certainly a big, big factor, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And Maryland, it's women's basketball. You get a lot of missed shots on layups, and but Maryland's done a pretty good job of taking those turnovers and converting those shots around the basket. I talked about their physicality and them being able to kind of match up with South Carolina from a physical standpoint, and that has benefited them in this game so far. So, and you also look at the fact that Maryland has, the Gamecocks have 10 offensive rebounds, but only 8 second chance points. So Maryland's done a good job defensively recovering in those situations, and they've outscored the Gamecocks 8-2 on the fast break. This has not been by any means South Carolina's best performance. They're only 4 of 10 from 3. Neither team has shot it well from 3. Maryland is only 2 of 9. So, but it remains anybody's ball game. 43-39 coming out of this timeout in the third quarter, and the Gamecocks we're just going to have to see if they put together one of those hot runs where they outscore an opponent, 10-0, 12-0. And turn the momentum of this game in their favor. So far, Maryland has been able to prevent that from happening. The longest run for the Gamecocks has only been 4 points. So we'll see if they can put something together here in the third or maybe early fourth quarter and put this game out of reach. But right now, it looks like it might go down right to the wire.
Well, neither flagship university has acquitted itself very nicely in Birmingham. North Carolina didn't even bother to show up today. They scored 38 points. For the game, folks, that wasn't in a half or a quarter. They scored 38 points. Yeah. I know, Phil, Duke is really good defensively, but they're not that good defensively. I mean, it was just a miserable offensive game. I mean, Duke won the game by 9. You remember, I can't even think even the women's game, high-level women's competition, scoring 47 points you don't normally win, much less win by almost double digits.
Yeah, it was. I watched that game from inside. Didn't go out to the arena. I watched it inside the media room, and because I was doing some other stuff. But yeah, it was. It was.
It was ugly.
It was a futile attempt at offense both ways. North Carolina jumped out to a double-digit lead in that game. I think they were up like 11-0. And they only scored 20-something points the rest of the game, and Duke turned it around. So. Duke is, safely into the Elite Eight, trying to keep up with their men's team, which is also safely into the Elite Eight. And we'll see which of these two teams will be their opponent on Sunday. Both teams came out of the timeout and did some good things. Maryland got an inside bucket, and then South Carolina has come back, and Full Wiley gets to the basket and gets fouled. And, I don't think Full Wiley should come out of the game. When she's in the game, it gives them an offensive spark. But, Staley likes to pull her out and sit her for a while for I don't know why. She did the same thing with Kitts. Kitts had those 10 points in the first quarter. Maybe it's their natural substitution rotation, but she sat for a long time, and she hasn't scored since. Now, I don't know if that's a connected thing or not, but Full Wiley's got to play the rest of the way. I mean, she is the spark on offense, and not getting much so far out of Edwards as she came off the bench, and she's only scored 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting, so not getting much from her at this moment, as the Gamecocks have just scored again to pull to within a point at 45-44. This one has the looks of a last-minute kind of thing.
Well, Phil, we will let you get back to it, and we will catch up with you after the ball game is over, maybe top of the second hour of the program tonight to get a recap of whether or not the Gamecocks are moving on or coming back home.
Well, I'll say this. I went and covered the SEC men's tournament with the Gamecocks. I was there one game. Went and covered the Clemson in Providence. I was there one game. But now the Gamecocks have taken the lead, so who knows? Might be staying here for the weekend. 46-45. We shall see if they can break the corn curse.
Well, and here's an interesting stat to leave you with. They flashed this up at halftime. The last time the Gamecocks had 2 games in the NCAA tournaments when they trailed at halftime was in 2017. They went on to win the national championship that year, so who knows? History may repeat itself. We shall see. Appreciate it, Corn.
I'll get back with you after the top of the hour. Okay.
Sounds good. All right, Phil Kornblut on the ground in Birmingham. The Gamecocks on a mini spurt, as Phil said they needed a 7-0 run over the last 67 seconds, and they have reclaimed the lead now, 46-45, with 3:15 left to go in the third quarter down in Birmingham. The winner, as we told you, will get Duke. Duke, a 47-38 slugfest winner. A slogfest might be better earlier today down in Birmingham. Coming up later on tonight in the women's tournament, you have LSU and NC State, followed by Ole Miss and UCLA, both of those games out in Spokane, Washington. And in case you missed it last night, boy, offense was not a problem in the Sweet 16 round of the men's game. It was defense that was the issue. You had Florida advancing the top seed. They knocked out Maryland 87-71. I know Josh was excited about that. Your boys came through and played well last night.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really watch the whole game. I was kind of, I don't know what it is, but when my teams are in any kind of playoff or anything like that, I really don't like to watch. I know that sounds crazy.
I understand.
A little on edge when it comes to that.
Well, they won by 16, so you may not want to watch them anymore this year.
I'll look at the stats once they're done.
Duke and Arizona, neither team wanted to play any defense last night. Duke behind a huge game from Cooper Flagg. He scores 30, pulls down 6 rebounds, dished out 7 assists to outdo Caleb Love, who had 35 for Arizona. And Duke advances to the Elite Eight with a 193 win over Arizona in the East Regional. So it will be Duke taking on Alabama, who hit a NCAA tournament record 25 three-pointers last night to beat BYU 113-88. And then in overtime, the best game of the night, Texas Tech erased a 16-point second-half deficit. They knocked off Arkansas, the only double-digit seed in the Sweet 16. They are done 85-83 because John Calipari did not learn from past history. Arkansas up 3 late. He elected not to foul. Texas Tech hits a 3. They send it to overtime. Texas Tech wins. And he should have known better, because if you go back to when he was the head coach at Memphis in the national championship game against Kansas, Mario Chalmers hit a three-pointer to tie the game at 63 with 2 seconds left to go, and Kansas went on to win that ball game in overtime. So he doesn't seem to learn, and these coaches just continue. It's easy. There are a couple of truisms in sports. You don't go for two until you have to, and always foul up three late. That's simple. I just have never understood why these coaches cannot figure this stuff out. So Memphis had that 62-60 lead, hit a free throw, went up by 3. They don't foul, and they ultimately lose the game in overtime. And same thing. History repeats itself, even though he's coaching at Arkansas and not at Memphis. All right, so we've got all of that going on tonight. We will talk some baseball throughout the evening. Of course, South Carolina getting ready for its series with Tennessee, top-ranked team in the country. Meantime, Clemson, its first road ACC series of the year. They are on the road at Georgia Tech, so we'll get you some baseball with Rudy Jones coming up just after 7 o'clock. Also coming up on the program, we'll talk some NASCAR, some golf. But up next, we're going to get out to the Palmetto Sportsman Classic. Welcome in our good friend, Matt Smith. He and Major Billy Downer, South Carolina DNR, taking you the rest of the hour.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
G3 here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and it's time for a fall preview. That's right, 720 Chris Drive, 378 and I-26, Frontage Road, where you can now preview the best technology for golf known to man. It's the Tsunami Bar. It's live weight. It's the only technology out where you get your tempo and flow going before you play. Now, it also serves as a pattern support tool. 720 Chris Drive, Frontage Road, 378 and I-26. You also can visit the Garage Gym Pro Shop. Pick up your tools, take them home, and while you're here, tour the Scramble Course 6-hole pitch and putt right now.
Oh, that sound can only mean one thing. That is the sweet, smooth turkey call from Major Billy Downer. It means we are again at the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. Our own Phil Kornblut knows just how to interpret that. Smitty's here with you, and we want everybody to come out and enjoy this big event going on all weekend long. There's all sorts of things going on. Bring your dog, bring your kids. Major Billy Downer, we'll turn it over to you. You said it's been slow. You want everybody to come out, make it hot again.
Yeah, it's a typical Friday here at the Classic. Just it depends on the weather. Every year it's different, and we've got with us a good friend of mine and kind of the master of ceremonies of the Classic. Introduce yourself to the fans out there.
Well, I'm Dan Dupree. I am what they call the executive director of the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic.
Dan, the dancing man.
I just put out fires, but we are so excited to open our gates at noon today. We did have a big crowd, but when it gets a little bit low like this, we have fun that we can go out and we can go shopping ourselves.
Absolutely. You know, every year it just depends. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You never know which day is going to be the biggest day.
That's true. It is what we call a crapshoot, but Saturday is usually our biggest day. So we expect a huge crowd, probably about 15,000, 20,000 come through tomorrow. And Sunday we'll have a big day. We have an amazing weather forecast this week. It could be freezing in the morning and 90 degrees in the afternoon, but we are loving this weather. We're loving the crowd that's been coming through, and it's been hopping already.
So a typical show, lots of outdoor vendors. You heard me do the turkey calls, so lots of turkey calls. You can hear in the background across all of the buildings here. Duck calls, we'll talk to one of our duck call manufacturers in a little bit, one of the local guys doing duck calls that's here for the weekend. Dan, talk about, as far as vendors and all, what does all of this go for?
Well,
what's the Classic about? What's it really, what is the funds that we bring to this? What does that do?
It's interesting you asked me that. I talked with Jim Goller, who's actually the executive director of the Hampton Wildlife Fund, and we talked about the start of the Classic. And it used to be a turkey call show, and it has evolved over the last 39, 40 years into what we have today, where we focus not on just turkey hunting, not just hunting, but angling. We have outdoor, if you like, non-consumptive sports like kayaking or birding and things like that. We have something for everybody. But all the money that is raised here through people that are coming in goes to the Hampton Wildlife Fund, which is a wonderful organization that they eventually will give scholarships. They will give money to the conservation education programs for the kids here in South Carolina. So we keep it home, and we do great things to protect and conserve our state natural resources.
Absolutely. And for those that may not know it, the Hampton Fund is kind of the nonprofit arm of the Department of Natural Resources. They are a huge supporter for us as an agency, and they can support things that we can't raise money for, like scholarships for kids going to college, our shooting sports program, where we give around $70,000 in shotgun shooting sports, around $40,000 to $50,000 in archery, and then other different scholarships throughout the agency available for young people going into outdoor curriculums. That's available as well. So tremendous support. They also support our fishing rodeos. If you've ever been to a fishing rodeo across the state, no matter what part of the state, that rodeo is put on with money given by the Hampton Fund.
Exactly.
So it's a big deal. It touches a lot of people. And again, they're here to help us raise money for different things that the state just can't do on its own. So it's great. Dan, you've been a part of this for a long time. This also, you've got a lot of your Wildwood kids here. And I say kids, but they're grown-ups now. My daughter was on the phone with us earlier laughing.
Exactly.
She's a 3-year Wildwood veteran, or actually 4-year Wildwood veteran.
Yep.
Tell me about, your Wildwood program. Talk about Camp Wildwood for a minute.
Well, the reason why I took this job on with the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic is because of Camp Wildwood. And if it wasn't for the Hampton Wildlife Fund, we would not be able to have that program. And so I'm a living testament to what the Hampton Wildlife Fund, what they do. Because it's how I got involved and interested in natural resources education. That's where my background is. That's why I went to college where I did, got an environmental management degree, and I ended up now running the camp. But it's for kids that are going into the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and they want to get involved in the outdoor activities and learn about conservation education. And we've had so many officers, so many DNR employees has gone through that program. So
absolutely.
I always say, hey, look up Camp Wildwood online and be part of it.
And so for folks that may be interested in Camp Wildwood, different than what you may think, a lot of the young people that come to our program are sponsored by garden clubs across South Carolina. So it's been a big partnership between the garden clubs of South Carolina and the Hampton Fund.
That's exactly right. And a lot of people used to think that we were a flower camp, but no, we have Billy Downer used to come up there, and
absolutely.
He used to teach.
Hunter in for 10 years there.
Yes, and he's great. That's how he became majors, because he came through that program and helped us out.
Absolutely.
But we have lots of people that have gone through that program, and we just love it so much.
Brad Taylor here, we had him on the show last year at the Classic. Brad's here. He's been the assistant director for many years.
Yeah, he's been the director for at least 15, 16, 17 years. He's been part of the program for over 30 years.
And he helps out with our alligator program, still doing that.
That's exactly right.
Does some alligator studies, and he's here on his own, representing his landing and his fish guiding business.
Is Taylor Outdoors and River Wind Marina.
That's right.
On Lake Murray, yeah.
That's right. So a lot of things for people to see. Dan, talk about the hours. Today we close
tonight at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow we open wide open at 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And then we actually have hours on Sunday starting at 11, and then that goes on till 6 o'clock.
Yep. So, again, a lot of opportunities for people to come here to see this. You don't have to be a hunter and a fisherman. It kind of helps to come to be a hunter and fisherman. You're going to gain a lot of good deals. I know Haybo's here with the Broad
Mercantile.
Broad River Mercantile. I think Broad River Mercantile is what it's called. But anyway, they've got a lot of deals, a lot of other vendors. I just named them because I've been there, and I bought some shirts really cheap, so they've got some really shirts really discounted. But a lot of vendors here, all types of outerwear, camouflage, regular clothing, fishing clothing, like you said, fishing tackle. You've got boats here. If you're getting ready for boating season and it's warm like it is today, folks can be thinking about going to the water. Come here. You've got different Berkeley Marine. You've got Marshall's Marine, other vendors here showing off with some beautiful boats, anywhere from 17 all the way up to 23, 24-foot boats.
Absolutely. A lot of them, like you were saying, they have expo prices. You won't see them at their marinas selling them for this. And just for one instance, I went over to the Broad River Mercantile, and I saw a beautiful Haybo shirt for it was like $20. It's usually like 70, and I was like, how can you do this?
But T-shirts were $10.
Yeah, so and they have tons of them. So
and it was Pima cotton T-shirts, and I'm a big fan of Pima cotton. Very soft.
You
awesome
are a
shirts.
Man of many talents.
I
don't even know what that is, but I don't like the polyester stuff. That's as far as it goes with me. But you get your Pima cotton on.
That's it.
That's exactly right.
That's even better than the old. What was the cotton that came out? Everybody was famous by that really soft cotton shirt. But it is a very soft cotton shirt. Very comfortable.
Okay, what he's talking about is you can get that at the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. I'm going to bring that back around,
Absolutely.
Billy.
That's right.
Billy sometimes goes like this.
That's right. We're going off. That's right.
Yeah. But please come out. We have all kinds of different vendors, and we are what we consider a family event.
Absolutely.
We got activities. We got a fishing pond out
there. I'm looking at a family right now. Baby in arms, one in the stroller, mom and dad walking around. There's something for everyone here. There's also good candy here. Strange enough.
They've got fudge candy. If you like the fair food, we've got the corn dogs and everything you find at the fair is here because they like to come out too. So, I mean, it's an incredible experience. If you have a family that want to come and do something this weekend, please come on out.
Yep. And DNR exhibits. This is the one time that we have the opportunity to put all of the faces of the agency out there to show everyone what DNR is doing across the state, from our, wildlife, law enforcement, all the way down to Marine.
Come see us in the Ellison building.
Come see us. We're going to head to break, and we'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy tonight. We'll have a low temperature dipping to 58. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day. We should stay dry, though, a high reaching 81. On Sunday, we do get a 50% chance of some thunderstorms. It'll be mild, 78 is our high. While on Monday, a storm day, we expect rain at 70% to start the work week. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A federal appeals court has lifted an order blocking Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency from further cuts at the U.S. Agency for International Development. The three-judge panel found the Trump administration is likely to show that DOGE's involvement doesn't violate the Constitution. The race to fill a Texas congressional seat has candidates, but no election date more than 3 weeks after Congressman Sylvester Turner's death left a vacancy and a stronghold for Democrats, who are eager to cut into Republicans' narrow U.S. House majority. Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott has the sole authority to call a special election, but has not said when he might do so, drawing criticism from some Democrats. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 715 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com, or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Tradition and quality. That's what you get with H&J Cattle Company, where local third-generation farmers ensure you receive the finest beef in South Carolina. Our registered Hereford and Wagyu cattle are raised with sustainable practices without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. Taste the difference with the highest quality beef guaranteed. Order now at HandJCattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle. Again, HandJCattle.com, where ethics meets quality.
Some credit cards hit you with sky rates, annual fees, and surprise costs, but not here. Founders Federal Credit Union is proud to offer credit cards with rates below the national average, giving you more control over your own finances. Our Essential MasterCard rates are as low as 13.25 APR. Prefer rewards? Our rewards cards start at just 15.25% APR, so you can earn while you spend. And the best part? There are no annual fees and no balance transfer fees. Just straightforward savings designed to keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your hands. So whether you're looking to consolidate debt, build credit, or just want a smarter way to spend, we've got the right card for you. Visit foundersfederal.com/CC to learn more or apply for a new credit card today. Relax. You're with Founders Federal Credit Union. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
Tune in at 6, don't miss the vibe. South Carolina's pride, we're live. Sports Talk's the place to be. From the court to the field, we're breaking news free. Join the team, follow X for more. We're taking over, that's for sure. Corn's in sight.
We are back at the Sportsman's Classic here. Major Billy Downer, Smitty, and our new guest, Daryl Newman with the Waterfowl Company. Daryl, thanks for sitting at the table with us for a few minutes.
Most definitely. Appreciate it.
Tell me about your company here and what you're doing at the Classic. You're like a lot of vendors here. You're selling a waterfowl call, of course, Waterfowl Company.
That's right.
Like turkey calls, duck calls around here. What is your goal this weekend?
To reach out to as many people as we can and have a good time with the waterfowl industry and put as many calls as we can on people's lanyards and so they can have a great hunt when they go hunting out in the field.
Absolutely. So how long have you been in the business?
I've been doing it since January of 2017.
So relatively new. It's been around. I mean,
10 years now? Or not 10 years.
Not quite 10, 8.
Yeah.
8, so.
No, we're 10 years now.
So where have you been as far as the Classic? How many years have you been here?
8 years, I'm sorry.
8 years.
Say what now? Say it again.
How long have you been here?
The Classic?
Yep.
We've been here since 17.
Okay. So since the start, you've been here.
Yes.
All right, how does this show rate among the shows you go to?
This is our favorite show. It's our hometown show. We enjoy it. It's always a good show here. Plenty of people coming through. It's definitely on the upper end of shows that we attend as far as people coming out and visiting us and seeing us. And
you go across the country in a lot of places.
Yeah, we go everywhere from Maryland to Arkansas to Oklahoma this year, Mississippi. We go all over the place.
So that's saying something. The Classic's a pretty good show for a vendor.
For sure, yes, sir.
And absolutely for folks that are wanting to look for duck calls, try duck calls out. I know this is one of your basic calls, isn't it?
Yep, that's basically our swamp/timber call.
Right.
It's a very easy to use call. It's versatile. You can get quiet on it. You can get loud on it. You can let them know you're here.
All sorts of volumes, all the way down to quack, all the way up, high ball and back.
That's correct.
And you've got the new one which is a really, I couldn't blow it on the air because I would blow it out. It
takes very little air. It's a Screaming Susie. It's probably our best seller because anybody can pick it up and blow it. Now, if you're new to calling, I can teach you in just a few minutes on how to blow it and get you using it really good. And if you're an experienced caller, it's still a great thing to have in your lanyard because you can finish the ducks with it really well.
Absolutely. So, growing up in high school, everybody blowing a duck call. You didn't know how to do it. You wanted to know how to blow the duck call. And the guys walking down the hallway way back in the day, blowing a duck call, you probably couldn't get away with it today. But I remember the first time when I was working for South Carolina Waterfowl years ago, learning how to turn that reed over and make it work right.
That's right.
And get to where I've called now. Not that I've ever won, but I've called in the state competition several times. I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun across the country hunting and blowing duck calls, and I enjoy doing that. Taught my kids that, or my son for sure. In duck calling in the industry like this, what's the big deal?
As far as the key is, I mean, we've been in the state. I've had some people blowing the state with our calls. We've won the state 4 years with our calls. Ed Paul, of course, you know Ed. He's won a few years for us with the calls we've been to. He's blown in the worlds twice for us in Stuttgart.
Absolutely.
So our goal is to just basically get
He's beat me a lot.
It's pretty good.
And I took him on his first duck hunt ever. Ever. So I have that distinction, and he'll tell people that. But no, Ed's been great. Won the Junior World way back when.
That's right.
Took over at Camp Woody is something I have a heart for, and is doing a lot of good work today. And yes, he's still blowing calls.
Yeah.
So versatility, ease of blowing for me as a duck caller, or for a new person, it's probably trying to figure out how much air and how to create that volume. And with this new call, it doesn't take the volume it used to.
Yeah, because everybody tries to overblow on a call. They pick up a call and they try to put as much air as they can into it instead of actually just feeling how much air you're presenting into the call. And that's the biggest thing is once you can feel the air that you're putting in, the amount of air you put into a call, you can back it down instead of having to use so much and actually control the volume. Control the amount of air, so it makes a better sounding call.
Just control the tone, everything,
yes,
right?
Yeah. The biggest problem people have is controlling it, and once they control it, they can really figure the call out a lot.
So this call is an acrylic call, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And are all your calls acrylic?
No, we have some poly calls. We have acrylic calls. We got some wooden calls this year. We brought back the old school look of the old type call. It's not an old call, but
turn around backwards.
Yeah, the old cut down.
So we down timber.
We brought some wooden calls of those this year. We got some nice wooden calls. So everybody usually comes here and looks for a wooden call. And last year we didn't have any. I was like, we're gonna have some this year for everybody that comes out.
Gotcha. Anything else besides waterfowl calls at your booth?
No, not as far as calls wise.
But merchandise.
Merchandise. We have piles of shirts and hats and. We actually have a shirt this year. We just dropped it today actually. It's an autism shirt. My son has autism, so we're doing a lot of autism awareness. It's a duck with a puzzle piece on the bottom. It's a blue shirt. So if you see it there, come talk to us about it. Buy one from us. All the profits on that go to local autism charities.
Cool.
So we're just trying to get some better teachers, or not so much better teachers, some more teachers into the school system for the private school. And just other ways of helping get kids get all the help they can get with teachers. That's our focus right now with this shirt is getting the amount of help with them. You know, a lot of times you don't think of the autism as being a big thing when it's not your kid, but whenever it becomes your kid and it's in your door and it walks through your doorsteps, all of a sudden autism is a lot bigger than what most people realize.
Well, and autism has become way more recognized now
for sure.
than it used to be. So,
yep.
Awesome programming. I'm glad you're doing that. But back to for duck calls for a second. And what have you seen as the biggest change in the industry since you started, or is that why you started?
I basically just reason why I started it was a fun thing we did in the garage one day with a friend, and it turned into being something I couldn't get away from, and I just enjoy it so much that I couldn't stop, and I still can't stop. I get out there every night and turn calls, and
you're turning your own calls.
We turn them, but a lot of these calls here are CNC calls because it takes about 2 to 2.5 hours to turn a full duck call. With going as fast as I can go,
right,
and making it right, it takes about 2.5 hours. So these calls are CNC calls off my originals. But yeah, they're top of the line. You can't get a better call as far as material wise and the call itself.
If you do say so yourself.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. That's it. You know, looking back on calls when we were growing up, what was the call you had? Your first duck call, remember?
Yeah, my first call was a Rich and Tone call. I got it from Rich and Tone.
And mine was a John Spot call. You remember those?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The old black with the pewter head duck on it.
Yep.
I loved that call. Still got it. That was some of my favorite. Then H&S had them.
Yeah.
And I actually called them up years ago and said, "Do you have any more of these calls?" And try to look on the shelf to find them. But yeah, I loved that call.
Yeah.
Just a different call. Rich and Tone kind of really changed the game.
Yeah, they have.
Because it made it where you get that really high ball.
Yep.
And I think most calls today are built kind of off that, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They've got Rich Tone, Echo, all of them do a great job, and they've been out there for the longest time. Everybody really knows about them, and they have a call that, I mean, just truthfully, it's what I cut my teeth on, and it's something that you can't get away from it. But everybody's got their own little way. There's so many call makers out there nowadays that everybody's got a little something different. Is what they're trying to get anyway. So,
do you have goose calls too?
I do have some goose calls with me. We're about sold out. We went to the Raleigh show and sold out a bunch of our goose calls, and we actually did very well there. Sold out basically all of our calls besides about 20 out of 100 something calls we had with us.
Wow.
So this show I think we'll do good numbers too the same way. So, we do have some goose calls and stuff like that.
Anything you want to tell the potential customers coming that they might want to look at when they come to your booth?
Come by and check us out. If there's something you don't know about duck calls, ask me about it, and I'll try to coach you in the right direction of getting the right call for you. And if it's something you don't know how to blow a call, I'll take the time to help you learn it real quick. I can usually get you blowing a call within a few minutes.
I know you've tried to offer that help to me. Does that mean you don't think I can call very good?
No, you're pretty good. I'm going to give you a job after we leave here. You go over to the booth.
Yeah, that's right. I've come twice, 2 years in a row, and blown a call. I liked it. And I typically will walk off, and I'm going to come back and get it, and I forget.
Well, see, he doesn't know this, but the call's actually in my truck because I knew he was going to be here.
Yeah,
and I just told him when he came there earlier that I didn't have it, just see what he'd say for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't going to bring it out till tomorrow, but it's in my door of my truck.
No, you don't.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, well. It was an easy blowing call. It's just a really good sounding call. And that's the fun thing about calls is they're all unique.
Yeah, they are.
Depending on the read.
Yeah, I can make 100 calls in a run, and out of that 100 calls, they all don't sound the same. You might have 10 or 5 that are way better than all the rest of the calls. As far as
and what's the difference?
Nothing. It's just it's a little minute cut that's a little different of how the machine runs on it. And it's no different if you cut it off your lathe; it'd be the same way.
Maybe, or does it have to do with the read at all?
Well, the read is going to be different every time. I mean, the read, you can cut the same read, the same exact cut, and somehow it's just a little variance on every one of them. That's the reason why
that makes all the difference.
Well, it makes a huge difference because that's the reason when you got 10 calls to go to the world, one of those calls sound a little bit better than all the rest of them. It's not always just the person. The call does help out a little bit, but yeah, they are a little different, and it's all in how it's cut too. I mean, the read makes a big difference if you got it cut right, too high, too low, or just it's all in the cut of the read.
So how about colors on calls? I know you can do with acrylic. Mm-hmm. There's so many options out there. What's kind of the number one selling color?
Truthfully, there's not a number one selling color really. I used to think there was, so I tried to stay in that bandwagon. Then I buy so many of them, they would sit there and they'd want everything that I didn't have. So now it's basically just whatever color you like and go with it. And usually they walk up. You always want to be on the new colors coming out. So I try to do that. So most of my colors are the new colors come out. I've got a bunch of new colors at the booth now that just dropped. So we do have those also as well.
Kind of the neon colors are still in there.
Neon colors are still there. I don't know why. I can't put any on my lanyard, but a lot of people like them on their lanyard.
They sure do. You're right about that. Well, anything else as far as when you come to calls, obviously probably the mallard call is your number one seller, right?
Correct, yeah. Mm-hmm.
After that, do you have any – what are your goose,
I'd say
duck?
I've got the wood duck calls. All the kids come through here and want a wood duck call, so I brought a bunch of wood duck calls with me this year. So they're cheap, inexpensive calls that anybody can walk around and blow. And if you don't have one on your lanyard and you do hunt wood ducks, and some people say they land in the decoy. Some people say they come to the call. So whatever.
That's right.
I think they land. I think they go to the corn. But I'm not going to tell you that right here because I'm sitting beside you.
Yeah.
But anyways,
we'll talk about that off the air.
But anyways, yeah, we do have goose calls, like I said earlier, and then we have a 5-in-1 whistle over there. It's just a little small whistle call that you can call the teal, the wood ducks, and all that too as well.
So your number one seller, is
the Screaming Susie.
The Screaming Susie, that new one.
Yep.
That's it. How long you had it out?
Just a couple years now.
Okay.
About 2.5 years.
So, and I want to mention this because I know I always. We're friends on Facebook. I see your reels and things.
Yep.
How big is that in the industry now?
What's that?
The reels. Doing reels, doing videos of
it's huge.
It's
the big. It's
showing
the
your
newest thing
calls off, showing ducks, whatever.
Yeah, the podcast, all that kind of stuff is huge now. As far as anything to do with the social media.
Have you seen that increase your sales?
Yes, because with people that you would never reach out to, you're able to reach them that way.
Really?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So when people come here, do you see people that year after year come back to your booth? Hey,
100%. I had a whole group just left, and I walked off, come this way. Another guy wanted some reeds, so he got a call to ask you. So I went back and got them. That's why I was almost going to run late to you.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah.
But that's what shows do for.
That's what I love going to shows is I sell a lot of product, but at the same time, I get to meet a customer I've never met before, and I got that customer hopefully for the rest of his life as far as hunting, and a good friend hopefully at that time too, because all these people know me by name. I can't remember everybody's name, but I try to remember as many as I can. So.
Yeah. Well, Daryl, thanks for being here on the
Thank
show
you for
with
having
us.
me.
Visit the Waterfowl Company here at the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic here today, Saturday and Sunday at the State Fairgrounds. We'll be back.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a dentist. I want to be an engineer.
Making dreams come true starts with making a plan. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to invest in a child's future education so they can chase any dream. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
Imagine a scrapbook filled with all your favorite memories of 75 years at Darlington Raceway. Now imagine that scrapbook going 190 miles per hour.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
You don't have to imagine it. You need to get to Darlington, where the drivers of today tackle the track too tough to tame, just like they did your first time. NASCAR Throwback Weekend at Darlington Raceway, April 5th and 6th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
Now through May 31st, 2025, buy the house now and reset your rate later with Mortgage Reset from Founders Federal Credit Union. Open a new mortgage or refinance an existing mortgage and get the lowest rate you qualify for now. Then you can reset it once for free anytime rates drop. That's right, at any time during the life of the loan, you can reset your rate to the lowest rate you qualify for at that time at no additional cost. Visit foundersfcu.com/mortgage to learn more. Find your local mortgage loan officer or start your application. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required. Equal housing lender, institution, NMLS identifier number 4100646.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Welcome back into Sports Talk. Smitty and Major Billy Downer are live at the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. Wherever you are in the state of South Carolina, you know the state fairgrounds. All roads lead to Rosewood Avenue. Seawells is just across the street. And here we've got a party brewing at the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. It's going to be open tonight until
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Tomorrow until 7.
Till 7, and 9 to 7, and on Sunday, 11 to 6.
There you go. So that was an awesome segment that you just did, Major Dan. I do want to tell everyone that we're going to wrap it up right here at 7 o'clock, and we're going to bring Phil Kornblut back on at the top of the hour, and he's going to give you an update on South Carolina and Maryland. At last check, South Carolina clinging to a 4-point lead over Maryland in the NCAA women's basketball tournament. That's in the final minute. So you can hear the wrap-up, and, of course, everything will be on at SportsTalkSC.com. But, Major Downer, look, I know earlier you were giving Dan Dupree a hard time about it being a little slow, but if you come out here tonight, there is action. There's people, and if it is a little slower, it's a great chance for you to go and sit with the vendors a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
And chat them up, learn a little bit more.
Absolutely. So, we've talked about the show. Every day is different. Some years, Friday's generally slowest. Saturday could be a huge day if it's good weather. We're going to have beautiful weather tomorrow. It will be packed. There won't be room to walk back and forth. And then you go on Sunday, if it rains, or we've had rain on Saturday, and people leave, and then when it gets sunny on Sunday, they come back. So every day is a little different. Sunday's kind of the day everybody feels like they come here the last minute to get deals. Whether they do or don't, maybe. Sometimes vendors are trying to get rid of stock before they leave. They don't want to take stuff. Sometimes they're going to pack it up and take it somewhere else, and they're going to sell it again. So all those answers are true. It just depends on what day you want to come. But, yes, absolutely, come to the State Fairgrounds, to the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. One of the biggest changes in the last 5 years has been the addition of the Goodman building. Used to be the Canny was the big building. Everybody wanted to be in here as a vendor. Then they built what we call the Canny 2, which is now the Goodman building. Same size building. All your vendors, there's twice as many vendors now under the roof. Air-conditioned space, so when it's hot, it's not hot in here. They've redone the air conditioners here, so it's really comfortable in these buildings where it's been hot in years past. So they've done a really good job here. But again, we talked about calls last segment, duck calls. Certainly, you can hear turkey calls in the background. One of the great calls right here off to my left is John Tanner calls, and he's from Hemingway, South Carolina. Brought his call on the show 2 years ago with Phil. And when I was finished, he said, I want you to take this call and kill me a bird. And I went the next day. The turkey season opened up, and I actually took a bird with his call, took a picture, and he was so happy he let me keep the call. So I wanted to always show his call off. He makes these calls handmade with cedar and different woods. Slate call, beautiful call here. But if you haven't ever heard or purchased a John Tanner call, come here, check them out, along with a lot of other call vendors. Lots of choices. We talked about that with duck calls. With turkey calls, it's the same thing. People like a different tone. They like a mouth call. They like a wing bone call, slate call, maybe a box call. All those are here. Come to the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic and find that call that fits you and suits you and take it home with you. I know a vendor will appreciate it. So many different vendors here, outdoor. We talked about boating. It's right around the boating season, Smitty. The lake is getting warm. When you get 70 degrees, people want to hit the lake. And so there's some great deals with some boats here. There's also tractor equipment for your food plots, small farms, gardens, and, hunt clubs. All that's here. Stands, deer stands, tree stands. There's some metal stands out here, really cool stands, new designs this year. There's some folks that bought really economical for a closed-in stand, under $1,000, right, $1,000. So a lot of opportunity for folks to find something that they're looking for here, even if they didn't know they were looking for it. Come here and walk around. Again, we've talked about T-shirts, shirts, hats of every shape and description here. Lots of vendors from across the country and guide services, even from Africa here. So a lot of opportunities to go different places, look at some really cool hunts. You've got the other buildings, the Moore building. You've got some different vendors there for your house, whether it's gutters, storage areas, whatever, or sheds, all that's here at the Classic. Encourage you to come out. And, again, all the money you spend here encourages vendors to come back, and that helps raise money for the Hampton Wildlife Fund, which, again, is a huge, huge partner for the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources in providing scholarships and private money through nonprofit that the state just can't do on their own. Can't say that enough. Can't thank them enough. We had a big banquet last night here. Raised a good bit for the Hampton Wildlife Fund. Started that just a few years ago, and that's every Thursday before the Classic. So in the future, if you didn't make it to the Columbia Wildlife Extravaganza come next year in 26, it'll be here again Thursday night before the Classic. Lots of guns, lots of good merchandise, and some great trips for sale there the day before the Classic begins. But again, come out here, lots of interesting things to see, lots of taxidermists here with different mounts. Again, I can't describe all the things that are here. You just have to come see it for yourself.
Absolutely. And events, you've got some activities.
So outside we've got the fishing pond for kids, and if I understand right, they've been doing really well catching catfish. Some years are slower, but the catfish are the bites on, so bring your young person with you. The rods are provided, the bait's provided. They can catch the catfish in the pond there and have a little fun feeling a tug on the line. That's always fun. We've got our education folks here across the way here, and they're in the building with all of the DNR exhibits, and they've got some great prizes and things to give away there. They've got a little game you can play, go around and collect different stamps from each vendor in the DNR world. If you don't know a whole lot about DNR, come to hear the Classic. You can learn a lot about what we do. A lot of folks don't know it's not just wildlife, not just law enforcement. We've got meteorologists. We've got a land and water section. We've got folks that are geologists. And all those folks are here and have their booth set up to show you about what they do here in the great state of South Carolina. We have a tremendous department and a lot of good people that work for us. So I want to give everyone credit here, all of our divisions that work so hard day in, day out in a state job and sometimes don't get the credit. But come to the Classic, you'll get to see what we're about here at the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources.
All right, we're gonna come to the top of the hour here. We're gonna have Chris Bergen and Phil Kornbluth join us again, wrap up that Maryland-South Carolina game. I also want to say, you said the great state of South Carolina, a lot of in-state vendors, companies that I didn't know were here, are right here at the Classic.
Local vendors, absolutely. Buy local is a big deal here, and there's a lot of local vendors here from South Carolina you may not even know existed that are right here in this state. Call makers like Mr. John Tanner right there from Hemingway. A lot of other call makers here from South Carolina. There's also out-of-state call makers, but I want to support the guys that are here and women, ladies and gentlemen that are here in this state, what they do.
All right, that wraps it up from here at the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, back on the other side. We want you to visit psclassic.com, find out all about it, and come visit Major Downer and everybody from DNR and all the vendors here at the State Fairgrounds.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Vice President J.D. Vance is in Greenland today. In remarks to U.S. troops, Vice President Vance says Denmark has failed Greenland.
Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change. And because it hasn't changed, this is why President Trump's policy in Greenland is what it is.
The pointed remarks came Friday as Vance visited the U.S. troops at Patuxent Space Base on the mineral-rich, strategically critical island. Utah has moved to ban fluoride in public drinking water, a move criticized by the American Dental Association. Lisa Adams-Wagner has more.
Utah has become the first state to ban fluoride in public drinking water, despite widespread opposition from dentists and national health organizations. Republican Governor Spencer Cox signed legislation late Thursday barring cities and communities from deciding whether to add the mineral to their water systems. The ban has brought into the mainstream what were once considered fringe opinions about the potential risks of fluoride. Utah lawmakers say it's a matter of personal choice and that fluoridating public water systems is too expensive. Lawmakers in other states, including Florida, Ohio, and South Carolina, also have proposed restricting fluoride in their water systems. I'm Lisa Adams-Wagner.
A federal judge has agreed to block the Trump administration from dismantling the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson agreed to issue a preliminary injunction that maintains the agency's existence until she rules on the merits of a lawsuit seeking to preserve the Bureau. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Face it, the world is uncertain these days, but there's something reassuring about holding on to what lasts. The 2025 1-ounce Gold Eagle from the U.S. Mint, a symbol of American strength and an asset that stands the test of time. You can trust gold and you can trust Global Coin. Call 833-SPOT-GOLD to secure this magnificent coin graded in pristine MS-70 condition for the dealer cost of $30.99. Free shipping, no sales tax. This is your chance to own a piece of history while building a foundation of enduring value. It gets even better. Global Coin is giving the first 100 callers a free MS-70 2025 Silver Eagle to complement your 1-ounce Gold Eagle. Two iconic coins, a symbol of prosperity and a testament to the enduring value of gold and silver. Global Coin backs every purchase with a 30-day return policy, ensuring your peace of mind. Visit globalcoindeal.com or call 833-SPOT-GOLD. No gimmicks, incredible coins at incredible prices. Again, that's 833-SPOT-GOLD.
The founder of a startup company that claimed to revolutionize the way college students apply for financial aid has been convicted of fraud. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
Charlie Javis, founder of the company Frank, has been convicted of defrauding J.P. Morgan Chase out of $175 million by wildly exaggerating her customer base. A jury in New York convicted the 32-year-old woman Friday following a 5-week trial. Javis was in her mid-20s when she founded Frank, a company with software that claimed to simplify the process of filling out the free application for federal student aid, a complex government form. J.P. Morgan executives testified that Javis told them she had more than 4 million clients. J.P. Morgan bought the startup, but it turned out there were only about 300,000 customers. Sentencing is set for July. I'm Donna Warder.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy tonight. We'll have a low temperature dipping to 58. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day. We should stay dry, though, a high reaching 81. On Sunday, we do get a 50% chance of some thunderstorms. It'll be mild, 78 is our high. While on Monday, a storm day, we expect rain at 70% to start the work week. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Well, a long time ago, I used to be a big hunting and fishing type guy. Sort of grew out of it and didn't have anybody to take me as much with my grandparents, certainly my grandfather passing away. But boy, I got fired up listening to Smitty and Major Billy Downer, that was good stuff from the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. And you make sure you get out there, you hunters and fishermen and the like out there. Make sure you get out there to the fairgrounds at some point in time this weekend. Sounds like it's going to be one wild party, as Smitty pointed up, until 8 o'clock tonight and then all weekend long over at the South Carolina State Fairgrounds. All right, just after 7 o'clock on this busy Friday edition of Sports Talk Media Network. Chris Bergen taking back over command of the ship over here in Florence. Josh Cohen in our Columbia-based studios at The Point FM. We'll catch up with Phil Kornblut as soon as the South Carolina-Maryland game is done with 10 seconds left to go. Gamecocks about to go back to the free throw line. They lead Maryland 69-65. Trying to put that Sweet 16 game to bed and advance to the Elite Eight on Sunday, where they would face Duke in a rematch of a contest that the Gamecocks dominated earlier this season. Faced Duke at Colonial Life Arena back in early December and won 81-70. Chloe Kitts had a double-double, 21 points and 11 rebounds in that win over Duke. But first, the Gamecocks got to make some free throws to finish things off. We'll get back to basketball in just a few moments, but as we do every Friday, it's time to touch them all as we talk some college baseball around the state of South Carolina. And there's no better resource than PalmettoStateBaseball.blogspot.com. And the gentleman who runs that website does a tremendous job of covering baseball, not just the Gamecocks and Tigers, but across the board in our state. Rudy Jones joins us for another Friday evening. Rudy, between hunting and fishing and basketball, can't forget about baseball, can we? How you doing tonight?
Doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me on. It's another good weekend. Of course, most of the teams in the state start the conference series tonight, so there's lots of big games. Clemson's down at Georgia Tech. They're winning 4-1, about the fourth inning or so. Carolina, Tennessee, about ready to start now. And, on all levels, there's some good conference games going on.
Talk a little bit about that Clemson-Georgia Tech series, just from the perspective, first off, Danny Hall, the longtime coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, announcing yesterday he's going to retire at the end of the season. And, Rudy, how big a void is that going to leave, not just in Atlanta for Georgia Tech, because he's been there for, it seems like 40 years, but just in college baseball in general? I know he's a very well-respected gentleman across the game, isn't he?
As far as I know, yeah. I mean, he seems to run a very clean program. Mm-hmm. And, Tech has some academic challenges as far as the student athletes they get in that may be a little bit higher standards for what they want for a kid than some other schools. But, he's been able to be successful. Maybe it hasn't brought in a World Series title, but his teams are competitive. They're always up near the top of the standings. And, and they give people trouble. I mean, they're well coached. And, I think it'll be a very good job for someone. Of course, fighting those academic issues and the fact that Georgia generally is the big dog, for lack of a better word, in the state of Georgia. But, Georgia Tech ought to be an attractive job. I think a lot of people will be lining up to have a chance at that.
So what do you have on your agenda tonight, not just with the Tigers right now leading Georgia Tech 4-1, Coastal and Texas State just getting underway, also South Carolina, huge series this weekend, obviously, with top-ranked Tennessee, but what are you seeing elsewhere around the state as we touch them all here tonight?
Well, Anderson University got a nice win today. Wingate is a ranked team, and Anderson beat them 11-3 to open that series in the South Atlantic Conference. Anderson scored 8 runs in the bottom of the 8th to kind of put that one out of reach. Another one, a big series in Region 10 Junior College. Florence Darlington Tech has had a 3-game lead on Gaston College entering today. Today begins the second half of the region schedule. And they played a series up at Sims Legion Park in Gastonia, and Gaston College won that game 6-3. So, Florence Darlington Tech's lead is down to 2, and there's 14 games left in the region schedule. But other games, USC Lancaster had to rally twice to beat USC Salkehatchie 15-14. USC Sumter got a walk-off 7-inning win, 14-5 over USC Union. Sumter's won 7 straight games. They're playing well. And, I'm just kind of a statistics nut. And I just, give me a baseball encyclopedia or some kind of list of statistics, and I'm just happy as a clam. I was looking last night, and a young man for USC Sumter named Kevin McMeans has reached base either by a hit or a walk in every game this season, and they've played 33 games. That's pretty good work.
Oh, my gosh.
I was doing some texting with Tim Medlin, the coach of the Fire Ants, and it surprised him, and I'm sure it's one of these things that the guy is just so steady you don't even think about that, but and it's not, say, a hitting streak per se, but just to be able to get on base every game as a season is a great accomplishment. Other good games going on. Limestone got a win over Mars Hill. North Greenville is rolling along. They beat Erskine today 11-2. And there's some good games going on still. But USC Upstate, they gave up 3 runs in the top of the first to East Tennessee State, and they came back and scored 10 runs in the bottom of the first. Interesting thing for Upstate, Johnny Sweeney got a bases-loaded triple in that game, and he was 17 for his last 18 at-bats.
That's crazy.
That's pretty good stuff. And then he later flew out he flied out to end the inning in the bottom of the first to end that little streak. But yeah, I mean, he's just playing well. And you know, that's the great thing about college baseball to me is they're just great performances on every level. You know, good talented kids. You know, maybe not all of them are able to play for a Clemson or a South Carolina or a Coastal, but there's just very good baseball on all levels of college in the college game.
I saw your tweet earlier. I got another minute or two with Rudy Jones here tonight on Sports Talk. I saw your tweet about Johnny Sweeney, and I was going to ask you, what kind of heater is he on? 17 for his last 18 is nothing shy of remarkable. I mean, that's in Joe DiMaggio type territory, isn't it?
It certainly is. You know, just about anybody'd love to have 17 hits for a month or whatever, basically. You know, and he's Coach Kane Sweeney's younger son. But I don't think there's anybody can accuse him of nepotism with those numbers like that. Before this streak, he was hitting about 179 for the season, and he moved it up about 356. He basically doubled his batting average over this little stretch of about 6 games. But you know, it's interesting, and you know, just basically every team in the state's playing pretty good right now. There are a couple of exceptions. Claflin's been struggling. USC Salkehatchie's struggling. Morris ended a 24-game losing streak earlier this week by beating Clark Atlanta. So, you know, that was nice. You know, no matter who the team is, whether your team you follow or not, you never want to see anybody go winless in a season.
No.
So it's good to see them get a little bit of a reward for the work they've been trying to do all year.
Rudy, we'll let you get out of here on this. Obviously, the Gamecocks have a huge opportunity, but also a tremendous challenge in front of them this weekend against the top-ranked team in the country and the reigning national champions in Tennessee. And Tennessee's already hit a solo home run to take a 1-0 lead over Founders Park going to the bottom of the first. How good is this Tennessee club from what you've been able to gather, and how can South Carolina stay with them this weekend and perhaps take at least a game, perhaps win the series with 2 out of 3 this weekend?
You know, I think the key thing is pitching. You know, don't give up a lot of walks. You're going and when you do give up the home run, you know, try your best to make sure there's nobody on base. You know, Tennessee awfully strong. They won like about the first 20 games or so of the season before they lost 2 straight. But you know that again, that's the one great thing about baseball is on a given day, just about anyone can beat anyone else if you play up to your abilities. Again, you know, I went up to the South Carolina UNC game in Charlotte on Tuesday, and you know they played pretty good for about the first 6 or 7 innings, but they missed a couple of opportunities, and then those walks and the hit batsmen started to come back to them to hone them and those type of things. And you've got to play pretty much a mistake-free game to beat a team like Tennessee.
Ex-scribe and self-described active curmudgeon Rudy Jones joining us here tonight. You can follow his stuff at Palmetto Base on Twitter, and also a really, really good website. Keeps up with all the baseball in our state at palmettostatebaseball.blogspot.com. Rudy, we appreciate your time. Enjoy the baseball this weekend. The weather ought to be outstanding. I'm sure you'll get out to a game or two, and we'll talk back to you next week.
Chris, thank you very much. Just hope a little bit of rain in the upstate so we can put these wildfires out.
No doubt, no doubt. Appreciate it, Rudy.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Yes, sir. All right, Rudy Jones drops off. That means we refocus back on basketball. The Gamecocks found a way, as they normally do in the NCAA tournament. They defeat Maryland 71-67 down in Birmingham as they outscore the Terrapins 19-17 in the fourth quarter, but it was a third quarter that helped them get ahead at 21-17, and a huge game from Malaysia Full-Wiley. She leads all scores with 23 points and 5 rebounds, and Phil Kornblut got an eye full of her performance in the Gamecocks tonight, and he rejoins us now to give us a recap before he has to run off and catch the post game. And Corn, it wasn't easy for him, but they snapped the corn curse, and you get to stick around for another day or so in Birmingham.
Oh, joy.
Yeah. They found a way. They found their will. Their will was full Wiley, as you mentioned in the fourth quarter. It's just whenever you put her in the ball game, she just sparks them. And she sat out 4 minutes of the fourth quarter and came in with about 2 minutes to go and immediately attacked the basket and made 2 layups to give them a little bit of a spread there. And then down the stretch, it's just a matter of making the free throws, rebounding, avoiding the colossal turnover. The foul situation, it was one-sided in Maryland's way in the first half. It was one-sided in South Carolina's way in the second half. Maryland was whistled for 14 fouls, twice as many as South Carolina in the second half. So, this is probably a difference when you have championship pedigree like the Gamecocks do. You kind of know when you have to go, when you have to step on that gas pedal and make something happen, and that's what these ladies are able to do. And Full Wiley had 23 and Kitts had 15. I mean, they dominated offensively as far as the scoring. That's 38 of their 71. And then, others contributed, but nobody else really stepped up big offensively except for those 2. And maybe that's all they need, miss inside and miss outside. Full Wiley was 9 of 17 from the floor, 4 of 5 from the line. The Gamecocks finished 17 of 21 from the free throw line, actually outscored Maryland for the entire game by 4 from the line after it being so one-sided the other way. So they move on. They played good defense down the stretch. Maryland did hit each of his last 3 shots, but the Gamecocks had built up a little bit of room there, and they made their free throws when it counted in the last few minutes. So they move on. They will play on Sunday afternoon. I don't know if the time's been set on that yet or not. Maybe it has, just don't see it. But they will take on Duke on Sunday afternoon with a berth in the Final Four up for grabs. These 2 teams played earlier in the year, the SEC-ACC Challenge, and the Gamecocks won by 11 at 81-70. So we'll have post-game coverage on the website, SportsTalkSC.com, and, of course, there'll be press conferences tomorrow, and we'll cover those as well, and then back here for the game on Sunday.
Outstanding. Look forward to it, Phil. We appreciate it. We'll let you get to work, and we'll look forward to your stuff up on our website at SportsTalkSC.com afterwards, and we'll talk back to you on Monday.
Thank you, Hoss. Have a good rest of the show.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, quick update on baseball. The Tigers and Yellow Jackets look like they're in for a wild one. It's 4-2 going to the top of the 5th inning. Tigers scoring twice in the first, twice in the 4th. Yellow Jackets getting a run back in the 1st and a run back in the 4th. Meantime, South Carolina has gone in front of Tennessee as Ethan Petrie has a 2-run home run. 2-1 Gamecocks, bottom of the 1st. We turn our focus to NASCAR. Jeff Owens in the fast lane up next here on Sports Talk.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is right around the corner here in the Palmetto State. As you get ready for this spring and summer, make sure your registration sticker is up to date and you have a copy of your registration card on board your boat. For more information on boat registration and answers to common questions, visit dnr.sc.gov.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot, and the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller-Brown. Did you know your will is designed for your assets to pass through the probate court? If you want to keep your loved ones out of court, a revocable trust is a great place to start. Visit LawyerLisa.com for more information and to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
You've put in the work for your education, the extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leader's caught, the pack is moving past. Love it when they're making lots and lots of noise. Can't wait to hear these W's say. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. Let's go racing, boys.
Let's go racing, boys. Jeff Owens in the fast lane with us here tonight on Sports Talk as we inch ever closer to the official throwback weekend of NASCAR next weekend over at the Track 2 Tough to Tame in Darlington. We'll have wall-to-wall coverage all next week, including at the race, the Goodyear 400 on Sunday. But before we get there, we've got to run through the Cookout 400. No, not the one in September here, but the one up at Martinsville Speedway on Sunday. And joining us inside the fast lane, our good friend Jeff Owens on the phone lines tonight. Jeff, how you doing on this Friday?
You didn't sing. I don't know.
I know everybody's disappointed with that.
I'm used to that off-key singing, being my cue.
Well,
it's
a good point.
Great, Chris. I'm doing great. Good to talk
I could
to
have
you.
certainly provided you with the off-kiltered singing. And nowhere near on cue.
Yeah, right. Good to talk to you without Phil there. So
yes, sir. Yeah. Well, we appreciate your time for sure. And we'll get into Martinsville here in just a couple of seconds. But let's go back to what was a terrific weekend for Kyle Larson down in Miami. He runs the triple header, runs the truck race, wins it, has a chance to win the Xfinity Series race, doesn't, and then wins the Cup Series race, his first of the season. Just first off, put that into perspective. 900 miles I think he drove this weekend, and he was 2 for 3.
Yeah, pretty impressive feat. Kind of reminds you of Kyle Busch a little bit. He do that all the time. In fact, I think he owns probably the only 2 3-race sweeps in history, I believe. But yeah, that's it's a great feat. These guys love to race, and Kyle Larson, it's probably no big deal for him because he does this all the time. He goes in the middle of the week and runs dirt track races or big sprint car events or whatever. He doesn't do it every week, but he does it quite often. So for him to run 3 races in one weekend like that is probably not that big a deal, but it's still a pretty big feat, particularly to do it at that level. To just step into a truck and go out there and beat everybody and then do it again on Saturday. And then we saw who Kyle Larson is on Sunday. He was up there all day long, and when he got his opportunity, he pounced and won another race on a 1.5-mile track. So anytime he wins a race, to me, that's a wake-up call for the rest of the garage, because everybody knows that he's the one guy out there who is capable of dominating any race and also dominating a season like he did a few years ago. So that's probably a wake-up call for the rest of the garage, and it's good to see him winning. So we'll see what kind of impact that has going forward.
Jeff, is he just that much more talented than everybody else driving right now? Because you're right. I could see him ripping off 3, 4, 5 wins in a row. Or is it because he's got a lot of talent, but, and by the way, he also drives for Hendrick Motorsports?
Yeah, it's both. There's no question. You can't do it without both. But he is a unique elite talent. I mean, they're all good. And we've got a good crop of young guys coming along right now who are all really, really good. Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, those guys, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, all those. But Larson, I think, is a step above everybody. I think he's a throwback he's the Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart of this generation, I think. And he's got the background to back that up, because he's won literally hundreds, maybe even 1,000 races in all these different cars. And you saw an example of that last year when he also ran the Indy 500 and was running 5th or 6th with a few laps to go. Not many people can do that. He is one of the best race car drivers in the world. And you're right, he's got the perfect combination with Hendrick. And we saw a few years ago, he dominated a whole year by winning 10 races and probably could have won 15 and took the championship. And nobody's done that since then. And in this era with this car and as close as the competition is, I don't know that we're going to see that a lot. But he's the one guy everybody knows could do that because he's got the team, he's got everything he needs. So, we'll see how he can build on this.
Jeff Owens in the fast lane with us here tonight. Looking forward to them running at Martinsville this weekend, and then, of course, coming here to the PD in Darlington next weekend for the official throwback weekend of NASCAR. And speaking of that, Kyle was here in town on Wednesday out at the track, Jeff, to unveil his paint scheme, which, by the way, I think is going to win the throwback paint scheme going back to the Bodine victory in 2003. It looked exactly like the Kellogg's car that he drove back in 2003. But I asked Kyle about that triple header and him running, and was it more difficult on him mentally or physically? And I think he basically boiled it down to it's mentally stressing and taxing, but he did almost mention that he wished NASCAR allowed them to drive and do the double or the triple a little bit more often than they do. Is it a good thing, though, for the sports that they don't allow the Cup drivers to sort of steal the spotlight, if you will, from the truck guys and also the Xfinity Series drivers?
Yeah, well, that's exactly why they don't do it as often. There's rules now that almost prohibit you from doing that. I don't know what the restrictions are exactly. They've rewritten them so many times, but you're limited to the number of times you can do that, and you don't get points. There's certain things you don't get. So NASCAR tries to discourage that because that's exactly what they don't want to happen. But you go back 20 years ago, and all the top guys used to do this. Mark Martin did it almost every Saturday, and Terry Labonte did it, and Earnhardt did it. And it made, it just made the top drivers even better because they got those laps and that experience on that track with a similar tire, somewhat similar car. So it helps a lot. Anytime you can do that, it is going to help you on that weekend. But if you open it up to everybody to do that whenever they want, that's what's going to happen. It's going to overshadow your two development series, and NASCAR doesn't want that to happen. But I think it's cool for it to happen every now and then. I love it when Kyle Busch steps into one of those cars and goes out and wins, and it's actually good for those drivers because they're racing one of the best ever. So I think it's got some positives there.
Did you see Larson's throwback scheme to Terry Labonte's victory in 2003 at the Southern 500?
I did, and I think you're right. I haven't seen one better than that. That's great. I love that Terry was there. Terry was a really, really popular guy when he won a race. I love talking to him and being around him, and so it's good to see him there involved, and that brings back a lot of memories, seeing that car, as it will for a lot of them. I just love that race, and it's been a really fun week already, watching everybody unveil their special paint schemes on social media. That's always a lot of fun, and I've seen a lot of this week I like. And I think that's one of the coolest things that any track does, and one of the coolest things you see in NASCAR every year. So I'm really looking forward to next weekend.
About 15 seconds, quick selection for this weekend at Martinsville. Who comes out of there with a victory and some momentum going to Darlington?
Well, keep an eye on Kyle Larson because aside from winning last week, this is one of his best tracks. But I'm going to go out on a limb. I think this may be the weekend where Chase Elliott maybe starts to get it all together. So I'm going to take him. Hendrick cars will probably dominate.
That'll be a popular win, there's no doubt. Jeff, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the race weekend. We'll talk to you next week about Darlington. Looking forward to having this series here in the state.
Okay, Chris. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, sir. We've got recruiting and the George Bryan III and some golf next.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy tonight. We'll have a low temperature dipping to 58. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day. We should stay dry, though, the high reaching 81. On Sunday, we do get a 50% chance of some thunderstorms. It'll be mild, 78 is our high. While on Monday, a storm day, we expect rain at 70% to start the work week. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. Naval Academy will no longer consider race, ethnicity, or sex as a factor for admission to the Service Academy. That's according to court documents made public Friday. The change in policy was made in February by Vice Admiral Yvette Davids, the Academy's superintendent. A powerful earthquake has rocked Myanmar and caused extensive damage across a wide swath of one of the world's poorest countries. Officials warn the initial death toll above 140 is likely to rise in the days ahead. In neighboring Thailand, at least 10 died at construction sites in Bangkok, and officials say over 100 are missing. Israel has launched an attack on the Lebanese capital Beirut for the first time since a ceasefire ended the latest Israel-Hezbollah war. More details at srnnews.com.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
So who needs broker solar? Well, it's the homeowner or the business owner that want to take some control of their own power bills. It's the family that decides clean solar is the path for them. Or maybe it's the church or nonprofit that wants to save some big dollars for their cause. Is it you? Maybe it's time you wake up to all Broker Solar can do for you. You have to let Ken and his team be your ultimate guide in what is pretty complex, this solar world. Make no mistake, solar energy is not for everyone. Despite what the scammers and door-knocking liars tell you, it is not free. It's a significant investment, but it has significant returns. From home installations to solar farms, Broker Solar can personalize your solar solution by meeting your needs and your budget. Their menu includes everything from full-scale solar on your roof or land and even battery backups for those pesky power outages that we've all endured. Visit brokersolar.com, stick it to the utility companies while also bathing in the sunny side of savings. Brokersolar.com, giving you the power instead of leaving you feeling powerless.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Explore the world with the 30th Annual Columbia International Festival, April 5th and 6th at the South Carolina State Fairgrounds with plenty of free parking. Experience 100 national exhibits, cuisines from around the world, an international bazaar with unique gifts, a global fashion show, parade of nations, and the sights and sounds of performers from around the globe. For tickets and more information, visit cifonline.org. That's cifonline.org.
Hey, honey, since you're in West Columbia, can you stop by Triangle Pharmacy and get our meds?
Yes. Have you been inside of Triangle lately?
Doesn't it look great?
Absolutely. Robbie and Isha are taking great care of the store and us.
I'm so glad we have a pharmacy that values getting to know us and our family. They even called me on my birthday.
Triangle Pharmacy, still local since 1953. Come see us at 1239 D Avenue or at our Columbia location, True Pharmacy, at 623 Beltline Boulevard, or visit trianglepharmacysc.com.
Hi, I'm Tazima. Join me every Saturday at 11 a.m. for Small Business Saturday. We'll celebrate business owners in our community while learning their stories of success and failure. It's Small Business Saturday right here at 100.7 The Point.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
We've rolled around to recruiting time here on Sports Talk. You thought we'd forget, didn't you? You thought because Corn was over in Birmingham, we would not have recruiting. Ha 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 ha. You thought wrong. Now, it's not nearly as well done as when Phil is here, but nonetheless, we do have recruiting for you here tonight on Sports Talk, brought to you by our good friends at Seawells, closing up for the week of the daily luncheon buffet, but it'll be back on Tuesday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. And, of course, if you've got a special event, then be sure and call the catering experts at Seawells. Seawell's family and staff can handle all of your planning and catering needs in their facility at 1125 Rosewood Drive, or stop by your venue. All you have to do is visit their website, SeawellsCateringSC.com, for menu options, or call 803-771-7385. All right, in recruiting tonight, we'll start with basketball because Phil normally always starts with football. So we'll start with basketball. Travis Branham of 24/7 Sports reported that South Carolina is among the schools to contact Boston College transfer 6'8" forward Elijah Strong, who is a native of Charlotte, and also 6'8" North Florida transfer Josh Harris. Meantime, in football, wide receiver Ryan Mosley has named the final five of USC, Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, and Nebraska. Clemson was on his previous short list. Mosley visited USC last Friday and was at Texas A&M on Thursday. He's got official visits set with Georgia, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Nebraska the first 4 weekends in June. Meantime, 2027 wide receiver KJ Green of Greensboro, Georgia, visited and checked in on the Gamecocks yesterday. He's been committed to Mississippi State. 2027 offensive tackle Maxwell Hiller of Coatesville, Pennsylvania, visited South Carolina on Thursday, and he's got plans to stop by Georgia and also Alabama this weekend. Safety KJ Johnson of Birmingham sent an official visit to South Carolina for May 30th. He visited earlier in the week. He has also sent officials to Mississippi State for June 13th and Ole Miss for June 20th. He was at Alabama on Thursday. South Carolina target wide receiver Travis Johnson of Virginia Beach will visit Michigan State on Saturday. Friday, he named a top 7 of USC, Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, Penn State, Indiana, and Virginia Tech. He's got officials with Georgia, Indiana, South Carolina, and Virginia Tech. Defensive end Andrew Harris and his twin brother, defensive end Aiden Harris of Weddington, North Carolina, who are USC targets. They plan to be at North Carolina State today. South Carolina and Clemson target running back Carson Baker will visit Florida State the first 2 days in April. Northwestern safety Tamarian Watkins will visit Texas A&M this weekend. He's got an official in June set with Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, and also USC. 2027 wide receiver Jarian Johnson of Charlottesville, Virginia. He plans to visit South Carolina on April the 3rd. Clemson and South Carolina target wide receiver Gordon Sellers. He'll be at Michigan today. He's also been to Clemson and Ohio State this spring. He was offered Friday by Florida State. And finally, Dorman defensive tackle Kristen Waring will visit Boston College this weekend. And that is recruiting, brought to you each and every night by our good friends over at Seawells. Don't forget to check out ST Recruiting up on our Twitter page. And also you can read all of Phil's cool stuff up on our website at SportsTalkSC.com. But time now to shift away from from NASCAR and baseball and basketball to golf. It's time for birdies, bogeys, and biceps.
4! Straight down the middle, it went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee bit.
Can't even hit it straight down the middle on Xbox, but I know one guy who can, and he doesn't need a video game to do so. It's our good friend George Bryan. He joins us as he does every Friday for another round of birdies, bogeys, and biceps. George, good Friday evening to you, sir.
Oh, good evening, and this is our time of year. This is where the earth turns and shows us how to live, and we kick it off in just a couple of weeks with the Masters. So I love it when it turns. We have long days, they're warmer, and that means more golf. Privileged to be here on Friday. You didn't miss Phil, but dadgummit, I just love talking golf this time of year.
I know Phil misses you as well, but we've got some fun stuff planned. Evidently, we're still in search of Puggy Blackman, so hopefully we'll be able to catch up with him. But we'll let you go ahead and tee things off and talk some golf here on this Friday.
Hey, I want to compliment what you started with the recruiting report, and I kind of mentioned it last week, but I brought Puggy was going to tee it up and talk a little bit of like he always does. Nobody can go around the world and from vertical east and west, north and south, quite like Puggy Blackman. And hey, if he's not on tonight, we'll re-tee next week because he's been at the Masters probably as many times on the inside with his students as anybody that I know. He spent a lot of time there. But we're going to talk about Caroline Hawkins, who recognized last week, had a great conversation with her at Salina Golf Club about golf, and she already is committed to play at Clemson. And speaking of Clemson, I ran into my buddy George. I call him Diesel George, although I'm not sure he appreciates that nickname, but we have lunch occasionally at our favorite place in South Congaree, Steve's #1 Subs, and he handed me a magazine. I was going to bring up some conversation, let Puggy run with it, but George brought in, and here we have the Bird family. You know, Coach Bird, he's been on our show. Well, actually, we've been trying to get him on the show this year. We had a couple of glitches go on. I hope to get him on in the future, but had a great conversation at lunch today with George, who got a few miles on his tread. He's still out there working. I'm trying to get him into golf, and he repairs my favorite kind of engine, the diesel engine. So I call him George Diesel. Now, that's the name I have for him because he's smiling, talking sports nonstop, but he brought me one of his magazines, The Orange. It's just called The Orange, and it had a great article on it. We were talking Clemson men's golf. Looks like Jackson Bird is going to be a Tiger, or is a Tiger, and his dad, Jonathan, I watched him grow up. And as you know, Puggy Blackman, he was the Gamecock men's golf coach in 1994 till at least 2008, and then he went where he was the director of golf for both the men's and the women's. So, hey, we like to talk about all golf here in South Carolina, but Caroline Hawkins, #2 ranked player in the according to the South Carolina Junior rankings, was going to be a focal piece of the conversation tonight, a focal topic, and watched her play just a couple of holes last week, and goodness gracious, just like always, we have great juniors in South Carolina. It's what we do here in the state. So I was going to pull up those South Carolina junior rankings to talk about and brag about the men's side, but as I hit my go button, it just didn't work out. So we'll shift gears, and I saw Scotty Scheffler is on top on the PGA Tour. It's about time for him to win, and quite confident he's pretty excited about the weekend being in that #1 spot moving forward.
He went out today, George, and shot a 62, 8 under par to move into the lead. He's got a one-shot lead going into the weekend at the Texas Children's Houston Open. When you were a player, did you like par 70 golf courses? Were they more difficult? Were they easier? What's the reason for a par 70 like they have in Houston?
Well, they usually just cut out a couple of par 5s. It's down to, and although I didn't watch. I hadn't looked at a scorecard. I hadn't looked at his scorecard, but typically you'll have just two par 5s instead of 4, and that's typically how they go. You can look. I just found, and I can recognize our #1 player in the girls' junior golf, Madison Messimer. But I prefer par 70s. That makes my score a little bit lower, and it's easier to get to the 60s.
Understand?
Yeah, so I've always loved the par 70. Even though typically they will be a little harder golf course, typically, not that that's a fact for all. 2 par 5s typically will make the golf course play a little more difficult versus 4. So the way I look at it too is when you par 71 or par 72, if you shoot par 70 sounds better than 71 100 times out of 100, and it's a lot better than 72. 100 times out of 100. So it sounds lower, and in golf, lower is better. And it's interesting. I'm pulling up Scotty's scorecard now. When you shoot 62, everything gets really, really easy. I think we were talking last week, too, about Scotty, and had a just a brief mention. He's coming off an injury, and as I look, I'm only seeing I'm seeing 3 par 5s on this par 70. So, yeah, but atypical, and this event is being played Memorial Park. I'm not familiar with Memorial Park either. So, yeah, that's unless they've changed the name. And that's one of the cool things about golf is things change quick. I'm looking at that scorecard. A lot of circles. See, in golf, circles are good, squares are not. The double square is really not good. So that means doubles and triples. And I'm looking at some of our Clemson players, last week, or some of our South Carolina players. Lucas Glover and also, let's see, we're talking. He finished in the top. Jacob Bridgman. They both finished strong too last week, and at least Bridgman's playing well again this week. He's at a couple under par. Got several of our South Carolina players in good form heading into Augusta. And there's Bridgman. He had to play really well today, shot 4 under today to get just inside that cut number at 2 under par. Looking down the list, I love how Phil does it. He makes it go so smooth. And I can tell you one player that's not in it this week. His name is Wesley Bryan. I know he's not there because I saw him at Salina Golf Club yesterday, so that makes it pretty easy. And not seeing, well, one of my favorites, Kyle Westmoreland. He actually lives in Charleston. He's not going to play the weekend. He's got status on both Korn Ferry and the PGA Tour. And as I look down some of the other favorites we like to keep up, Zach Johnson, he's one of my favorites. He won't be seeing weekend action. As I look for some of our other South Carolina, Luke List is from Augusta. We don't really claim him, but he's one of my favorites, so that's why I like to talk a little bit about. There's Ben Martin. I didn't like to see Ben at +3. He's right now at +3. He's going to have to really fight to make that cut, and it doesn't look good. Heading into the weekend. Ben is coming off and wrestling with some injuries. From Greenwood. He's from Greenwood, and beautiful family. His mom and dad walked a lot of golf, junior golf and college golf, and Ben will not play the weekend. So did we get Sully on the line? Because I found out interesting background on Sully.
Well, I was going to mention to you, even though we hadn't been able to catch up with Coach Blackman tonight, we do have your normal playing partner on a Friday evening, and so Sully is with us, and we'll let you bring him up on the tee.
Sully, let's tee it up, because I found out that you are a former player of one of my favorite people in the whole world, where you went to high school. Tell us about it. Give us a little background. Go ahead and introduce not just yourself, but your former golf coach.
Yeah, George, I went to Gilbert High School, and Drew Nix was my head golf coach there, and I think she's one of the best head golf coaches in the business. She did a great job with us, and we were pretty successful. We had a pretty good couple years there, and unfortunately we didn't have a senior year because of COVID, but I think we're going to have a pretty good team. But she's a great coach, really helped me in my golf career, and couldn't say enough about her.
She is, I guess right now, of those that I know that grow the game of golf, she is tied for first of all that I know. And right there, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you got into golf, Sully.
So I actually grew up in Lexington, South Carolina. Me and my dad joined the Country Club of Lexington. I know you're familiar with that place, George.
Absolutely.
And just kind of, yes, sir, just grew up riding around with him. And eventually he got me into it. I started playing all the Hootie and Blowfish chapter tours, the Tri-County. So we played Lexington, Ponderosa, Golden Hills, Mid-Carolina. Did all that. And then eventually when I got old enough and decent enough at golf, I did the SCJGA. And they, as you know, they run some really good events. And so did that, and then eventually got decent enough to get a couple offers. I went to a junior college in Spartanburg Methodist College, played a couple years there, and now I'm at Newberry, about to finish up. So it's been a good journey. It's almost over, but golf's opened a lot of doors for me, and I've met a lot of good people like Drew Nix. So golf's been great for me.
So Drew Nix she's both the boy, or she was at the time, both the men's and the women's, boys and the girls, high school golf coach at Gilbert. She's agreed to be on this show in the near future to talk more about what she's got going on. I learned she is also investing time with this middle school program, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Could be 9th grade now in middle school. I kind of lost track of what the brackets are, but she started the women's golf team out in a pasture in Gilbert. Do you know much of that backstory, Sully? And if you do, tell us your version.
Yeah, I just know that when I was first there, I don't think we had a women's team. And to be honest, I think my first year there might have been her first year there. So she not only kind of got us together, the men's team, but she started the women's team. We were able to get Kennedy Gooding over from Lexington. And then, they struggled at first, but after, I think, 2 or 3 years, they were able to win a first state championship in, I believe, our history of golf at Gilbert. And ever since then, they've been pretty good, and we produced some pretty good talent out of Gilbert. But a lot of credit goes to her for starting the women's program there.
From a pasture to a state championship, all in about 5 years. I think that's what it turned out. And
that's right.
One of the things right down in your neighborhood, you mentioned Country Club of Lexington, and you mentioned Tri-County. I'll start with Tri-County. First of all, I guess you realize that Dustin Johnson came right out of that Tri-County.
I actually didn't know. Did Dustin Johnson played in those Tri-County events?
That's where he got his competitive start, and that's a fact. And the reason I know that is I watched him, and Buddy Boston was the chapter director at that point, and he was a head pro at the Ponderosa Club. So I used to watch Dustin and Austin on a weekly basis, and more than that, on a daily basis. I actually worked with his dad, Scott, during a period of time at Mid Carolina Club. We're talking long before you were born. And but Buddy Boston sets one heck of what I call just a culture for golf, especially competitive golf for children, meaning when I say he sets the table and creates a culture, fun's number one, and you go out, not only do you have fun, but you play really fast with Buddy Boston around, so fast that if you don't play fast, you get to ride. And it was hilarious how he taught people to play fast. He just said, hey, you're going to finish at this time one way or another. And they didn't get it until he put them in the cart and rode them to home base when they were done, or when the time was up anyway. So if you just tell folks all they got to do is play fast, they will. And that's, believe it or not, that's how you learn to play better, is by playing faster. You know why,
That's right. Why is that?
You know why you learn to play so much better, faster, if you play fast?
Tell me.
You don't no time to think. You just got to go. That's part of the reason. Hey, it's not just, you won't find a faster player in the world than Dustin Johnson unless it's Wesley Bryan, and that's my son. Those two boys play faster than everybody else. In fact, now Dustin, he ended up taking his time as he matured, and that might be what Wesley still needs to do. In fact, he was one of the funniest conversations I've ever witnessed was a couple of weeks ago between he and Smiley Kaufman, who is one of the analysts. And Wesley was asking, he just asked him, I had a chance to win in San Diego. What's up? Nobody's covering me. He goes, Wesley, I got to tell you the truth, at least from my perspective, and that is, they're not going to cover you if you play so fast they can't. And literally, Wesley had it in go mode. But Dustin played faster than Wesley because he's taller, and those strides can be longer, and he wastes no time. He hits it and gets it, and that's it. He finds it, does it again, and that's it. So Those
Hey,
two are
George, I got a
fastest that
question
ever
for you.
Yes, sir.
I got a question for you. Just staying on topic of PGA Tour not really covering Wesley sometimes. I saw that they're starting that little creator series on Live Golf. What are your thoughts on that? Do you know much about it? And it seems like a great opportunity for Wesley and George.
I'm going to reserve comment on that. I know very little about it. And what I do know is it's a very sensitive topic, just so you know. It's fun for us to talk about, but it's caused, I'll just say, I'm getting all kind of odd comments. And your question's great. I think overall, I'm all for it. I think it's great for golf. What better way to bring the best players together through social media and just simple stuff. And what I just call it the fun part, the pro-ams, pre-tournament golf. I think it's spectacular. Now, whether I even look at the advertising that's going on for it, and I saw a little bit. I actually love it. Now,
Me too.
I'm not sure. I got what I just call blindsided by a couple of the staunch, very edgy and opinionated, the PGA Tour. I'll just say it's a little bit old, and I can tell you right now, the old traditional ways, they don't go easy. People don't like change. And the Live Tour, the Live Way, the music, I'm not sure I like 3-round events, but I do know that, hey, we got to evolve. We got to change. And I think we need to bring these two tours together somehow. And I'm not sure the Creators Cup is going to do a whole lot for that, but based on what I know about it, and I've been there, been to both of them so far, they're a lot of fun. It's just a weird, odd for golf, and the crowds love it. Oh, at TPC in Jacksonville, they loved it.
They did love it. It was packed on 17 for the whole time and that playoff. And I think it's entertaining not only for, golf fans like us, but people who just watch YouTube. And I think it brings attention it just brings crowds from YouTube and PGA Tour fans like us. So I think it's a good idea for Live, and I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Man, I appreciate that question because there's nothing new under the sun. That's biblical. That's a fact. And Shell's Wonderful World, that was one of the most popular series, and from a commercial standpoint, it was sponsored by Shell. You can still go Google and look at that. What they're doing is a variation of the Shell's Most Wonderful World. They don't quite have the star power that Shell's Most Wonderful World of Golf had at that time. Just Google it and watch some of those matches. This is a variation that brings what I call the greatest players to the public. The king, Arnold Palmer, is what really caused golf to explode, regardless of what people say about Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods brought the commercial and the money, but Arnold Palmer is who popularized golf almost single-handedly and through the Masters. So that series, that Shell's Wonderful World of Golf, and basically what YouTube brings to the table is exactly what's already been done. And I just think it ought to just let them go and get all these superstars together instead of separating them. And I know we're sneaking up on that time. And hey, Sully, I can't wait to have Coach Nix on, and it'll be fun listening to both of you. Like, if that's
yeah,
still
I'm looking forward to it.
Appreciate the time. Y'all have a great weekend. Shoot 'em high, but shoot 'em low.
George, Sully, we appreciate it, guys. Outstanding stuff with birdies, bogeys, and biceps. Tremendous weekend forthcoming. We've got a lot of stuff up on the website, sportstalksc.com. Enjoy. We'll see you Monday.